Hi everyone, very good afternoon and welcome back to CGBMentors. In this particular class, there is a new circular that SEBI has brought in on 29th May that talks about how we can enhance the trading convenience. At the same time, we can watch out for the risk monitoring in case of equity derivatives, right? And this is going to be our discussion today. There are various important things that is something you have to consider and look out over here. Let us see this one by one, right? So number one is, what is the role of derivative market? See, we understand derivatives means what? ठीक है, derivatives का मतलब क्या होता है? That it is a financial contract, the value of which depends upon an underlying asset. Suppose I have taken a futures contract on Reliance shares, right? So if I have taken the derivative contract where I am saying that I will buy Reliance shares from you at the rate 1000 after 1 month. I have decided the time in future, I have decided the rate. Now suppose this contract I have said that I will buy. Now if in market the Reliance share price is at 900 after 1 month, एक महीने बाद अगर रिलायंस के शेयर की प्राइस मार्केट में 900 रुपए है, then the value of this contract is going to reduce. Nobody would be interested in this contract. ठीक है, कोई भी इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं होगा. ओके, जस्ट अ सेकेंड. Okay. So over here, after a certain time period, this contract would not remain valuable for me. ठीक है, मेरे लिए ये जो है ये valuable उतना नहीं रहेगा, because in the market the price of Reliance share is already less. So why will I exercise this contract? This is called as futures contract. इसको हम क्या कहते हैं? Futures contract, where I have obligation. On the other hand, we have one more type of derivative which we know as options. उसको हम क्या कहते हैं? Option. So imagine in this contract I have said that I want a right. I am not saying that I will buy. मैं ऐसा नहीं कह रही हूँ that I will buy. I am just saying that I need a right to buy the shares at 1000 rupees. मैंने आपको क्या कहा कि मुझे चाहिए right to buy. And in order to purchase this right, I am going to pay you premium, right? I am going to pay you premium. Let's say I'll pay you a premium of 50 rupees per share, right? This is the premium which I am paying you. Why? Because I need a right that if I want to sell, if I want to buy the Reliance shares after 1 month at 1000, you will allow me to. If suppose after 1 month I saw the situation in the market, Reliance share is for 900, why will I exercise this contract? ठीक है, but in futures I have obligation, I have to exercise, but in options I do not have such kind of obligations. There is no obligation on to me, this just gives me a right. तो इनको कहा गया derivative contract. We know futures and options, they are two derivative contract which are traded in the market. Now imagine this, I have given you this example, ठीक है. So if Reliance shares is 1000, derivative contract value is 10,000, ठीक है. If Reliance share becomes 900, derivative contract value also decreases. This is derivative contract for buy. Now why I am saying you this, why I have taken this simple example, just to tell you that value of derivative contract would also move as per the underlying asset pricing, right? जिस तरीके से underlying asset की pricing move करेगी, वैसे ही आपका derivative contract का pricing भी move करेगा. So now once you have understood this, Let's move to the circular, what the circular is saying to us. Let's see this. See, in this circular they are saying डेरिवेटिव मार्केट का क्या रोल है? ऑब्वियसली एफिशिएंट प्राइस डिस्कवरी, इंप्रूविंग लिक्विडिटी, हेल्पिंग द मैनेजर्स टू मेक द रिस्क. नाउ सेबी हैज फॉर्म्ड अ एक्सपर्ट वर्किंग ग्रुप where they wanted to restructure the derivative market so that for the orderly development of equity futures and options, strengthening the risk oversight, etc., etc. Now we have to look at what are the new changes that has been brought in. So now adopting a cautious approach, please pay too much attention on the top 2 points because they are very, very important. Number 1, see, they have said कि there is a term called as open interest. Open interest means total number of active derivative contracts in market. So suppose there is a contract and there are 10,000 people who have bought or sold this contract, right? So that shows how many people are interested in that contract. That is open interest, right? Open interest means how many number of contracts are there. Okay, now new rule they are saying, देखो, there is a term called as delta. Delta means how the derivative will move if the stock price will move. What is derivative contract value? Will it increase in a similar manner as if the stock price is increasing or decreasing? Suppose Reliance share increases by 100. So derivative contract value has also increased in a similar percentage. So over here we will say delta is 1. Derivative contract is showing similar increase and decrease as the increase and decrease is there in the stock prices. ठीक है? So underlying asset में जो change है वही derivative में change है. Delta of 0.5 means it is not exactly moving like share price, right? It's just half of it. And delta of 0 means it is not at all moving as per the stock, right? Why we want to measure this? I'll tell you क्यों हम ये use कर रहे हैं. See, we want to measure what is the actual risk. See this. If number of contracts, let's say 100 contracts are there, delta is 0.5, right? So that means if the delta would have been 1, that means derivative pricing are moving exactly just like stock. So that means having 100 share, the risk is similar as if having 100 derivative contract. But over here, if the delta is just 0.5, the risk is less, na? It is not exactly following the share price. No, it's not. So our risk has reduced. Our risk has reduced. If suppose delta is 0.1, really less. So that means even after having 100 contracts, the risk is exactly similar to just having 10 shares. ठीक है? आपके पास 100 कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैं, फिर भी आपका रिस्क एकदम सेम है जैसे कि आपके पास मान लो 10 ही शेयर है. So this shows we just don't want to see how many number of contracts are there. We want to see that what is the actual risk is there by having this kind of contract, right? So this is what SEBI has said. SEBI ने क्या कहा? So SEBI now wants that we want open interest, open contracts to be measured using delta adjusted positions so that we would be able to know what is the actual risk in the market, right? So this is the item number 1. Now next is market wide position limit. अब ये क्या है? This is the maximum number of derivative positions allowed in a stock. Suppose I am talking about Reliance shares. So I have said that you can have maximum 10 lakh derivative contracts with respect to Reliance shares. ठीक है, मैंने आपको कहा कि आप मैक्सिमम 10 लाख डेरिवेटिव कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स हो सकते हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू रिलायंस शेयर. दिस इज जस्ट एन इमेजिनरी नंबर. व्हाई आई हैव डन सो? ऑब्वियसली टू See, why it was necessary? To keep the limits realistic and linked to liquidity. And then if a stock is not trading too much, why we should allow so many derivative contracts for that stock? ठीक है, अगर एक स्टॉक अच्छे से ट्रेड ही नहीं कर रहा है तो उस पर हम ज्यादा स्पेक्यूलेशन क्यों होने दें? ठीक है, जितनी जिसकी ट्रेडिंग होगी, as per that we will also allow the derivative contract. So here they have imposed a new limit. They said lower of these two, 15% of your free float market capitalization. Free float market capitalization means number of shares that are freely tradable in the market multiplied by market price, right? In this, out of total number of shares, if you remove the promoter's shareholding, you will get your free float share capital, multiply it with the market price, 15% of that, or 65 times of your average daily delivery value. ठीक है, आपका डेली का एवरेज डिलीवरी वैल्यू क्या है, राइट? ट्रेडिंग वैल्यू क्या है? 65 times of that. Whatever is lower is the limit, right? That is the what you can say derivative position we will allow you. We cannot allow, if you do not have that much trading, why we would allow you to have so much derivative position? Because ultimately it increases the speculation. ठीक है, but MWPL can't go below 10%. 10% से कम भी नहीं जा सकता और 15% से ज़्यादा भी नहीं जा सकता. So that has been told. Now if 95% of your position limit, market wide position limit, if it has been utilized, then there would be a ban period. In that ban period, new contracts cannot be added. They can only reduce their existing positions. So SEBI checks if the trader is actually reducing or not. ठीक है, so these things will be checked to reduce the speculation. Now over here, it has been told to the exchanges that right now you were doing just one time checking. Now you have to check the market wide position limit 4+ times during the day and alert the SEBI, take the extra surveillance if needed. After that, it has been told limits on index derivatives. Index derivatives, there can be two kinds. Index options, where you just want the right to buy or sell, or index futures, where you are saying that nahi, I will buy, right? It is your obligation to buy. What is the underlying asset in both these cases? Index, right? So over here it has said that net delta exposure. Delta exposure means just now in the point number 1, we have adjusted your number of contracts depending on how much they are reflecting the change which is happening in the underlying asset. ठीक है, so depending on that adjustment, we will see your exposure limit is 1500 crores, right? This is your net delta exposure limit. Now next is gross exposure. Gross exposure का मतलब on the both the sides. If you have taken long side, that means right to buy, 10,000 crore is the limit. If you have taken short size, that means right to sell, then 10,000 crore on both the sides. This is gross. What is the difference between net and gross? Gross means total position. That means we have not adjusted it for delta. हमने इसको delta के लिए adjust ही नहीं किया है. So this is your gross related limit. Delta adjusted limit is this, right? You can hold the position, but your total gross position is 20,000 crore, but not more than 10,000 crore on both the sides. For index futures, म्यूचुअल फंड्स के लिए, फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए 15% ऑफ टोटल ओपन इंटरेस्ट और 500 करोड़ विच एवर इज हायर. ओपन इंटरेस्ट का मतलब क्या? एक्टिव ओपन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, राइट? So 15% of total open interest of 500 crore, that is the maximum. But for other traders like individuals or institutions apart from mutual funds or FDI, for them it has been told you cannot take large positions freely. If you are taking the short position, that means you want to sell, then in that case you should have stocks बेचने से पहले, बेचने की पोजीशन लेने से पहले आपके पास स्टॉक होना चाहिए. You should be having stock in your pocket before you promise to sell. Or if you are taking the long position, that means I will buy. So in that particular case, you should be having cash or government securities to execute the contract. Why there are so many conditions like that? So that we can limit the speculation and risk to the investors. Now the glide path has been given till December 5th. SEBI will give warnings if someone breaks the limit. Entities will have 1 day to fix. Right, these limits you will have T plus 1 day to fix. From December 6th, SEBI will apply penalties and exchanges must ensure the full compliance. Now, pre-open session for derivatives. Till now we had this for stocks. Pre-open session means before the market opens from 9 AM to 9:15 AM there will be a pre-open session so that people can provide their bids at that time. So when the market opens, there is not too much fluctuation. So they have said that for current month contract, you will have pre-open, and for the next month derivative contract, in the last 5 days, suppose in the month of June, 26th June is I guess Thursday, right? So now we are talking about June. Next month would be July. So if there is a July futures contract, we will allow you for June futures, you can have pre-open session. But for July futures, you can have pre-open session from 21st June to 26th June, 5 days before the expiry. Because in NSE right now the expiry is Thursday, okay? Thursday of the month, last Thursday of the month. So before the expiry, if you have the July futures, the month of June, the expiry date is 26th June, 5 days before that you will have a pre-open session, because this is generally the period where the investor would settle the position for the month of June and would try to take a position for the month of July. तो हम यहाँ पे आपको pre-open session provide करेंगे, ठीक है. Next is strict rules for the index composition. So if you want to bring new indexes, right now we have so many indexes like Nifty 50, Nifty Mid Cap 50, right, Nifty Next 50, Nifty Bank, right, like that. We have Sensex. So if you want to formulate a new index, it should have at least 14 companies stock. The top stock cannot have more than 20% weightage in that index. Top 3 stocks together cannot have more than 45% weightage. Stock weightages must decrease gradually, means every stock should get a fair chance and it has to be reviewed every quarter. Now there are position limits for individual entities so that nobody should dominate. So out of your market wide position limits, NRIs, brokers, FPIs, mutual fund, FPI category 2, FPI category 2 individuals, family offices, this is the limit which has been given, that how much of the market wide position limit they can hold. And for exchanges and clearing corporations, they have been told that you have to follow clear guidelines, check compliance daily, inform SEBI. फेज्ड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए आपको कहा गया है किस तरीके से फेज इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होगा. ओपन इंटरेस्ट वाला जो डायरेक्टिव है दैट इज ऑलरेडी इम्प्लीमेंटेड. न्यू डेफिनेशन ऑफ मार्केट वाइड पोजीशन लिमिट वुड बी इफेक्टिव फ्रॉम October 1st. बैन पीरियड रूल October 1st से. इंट्राडे मॉनिटरिंग दैट मीन्स 4+ times you have to check, that would start from November 3rd. Position limits for index derivative, it would start from July 1st, 2025 and then a soft period would be given. Full enforcement will happen from December 6th. Pre-open session for derivatives, it would start from December 6th. Eligibility rules from non-benchmark indexes will start from November 3rd. And position limits for each participant from October 1st. So I have told you all the changes and these are the timelines to comply with it. It was a difficult circular, a bit difficult, but I am sure that if you will revise it, you will be able to get it. If there is something that you are not able to understand, please tell us in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching.